So if you like American Girl dolls and you want to try to cook something like your American Girl dolls might have cooked back in the day that they were around, this recipe is one that you can make. It's called Sweet Potatoes and Apples, and it's for a doll called Felicity, and she was around in the 1700s. So this is the cookbook that it came from. This is a cookbook from way back in the 1990s, and that was when I was a little girl. But the first thing you're going to do is wash your sweet potatoes, and sweet potatoes are grown in the ground, so they have lots of dirt on them, so you want to wash that dirt off. And then you're going to poke them with a fork, and you might want to have an adult help you with this. And then have an adult put them in the oven for you at 350 degrees for an hour, and they will take them out. And then you're going to cut up some apples, and you can cut those with a table knife, and that means that you can do this yourself. Make sure that you have an adult nearby to help you out. But you're just going to cut the sides off of each of those apples. Make sure you take the labels off as well, and that you've washed them. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to peel the apples, and this is something that you want to have an adult help you with. And if the adult that you live with is okay with letting you use a peeler, that's okay, but otherwise let an adult peel the apples for you. And this is going to mean that this is not going to be harder to chew once you cook your apples, because we're going to be cooking the apples and sweet potatoes together. So the next step is going to be to slice all of your apples into thin slices. And you want to do this super carefully, and you can use your table knife again, and make sure that you have an adult around while you're doing this, and an adult can help you out with this so that it can go a little faster if you want to. And as you're cutting them, you're going to move them over into a bowl. And as you can see, I'm just running my knife across the cutting board and across the apple, and that's going to help you make really smooth, pretty cuts. So while we keep cutting these apples, just as a little bit of a story about Felicity. Felicity is from the 1700s. She's from 1774. She's about 9 years old, and she's in colonial Williamsburg. And one of the coolest things that I love about Felicity is that she's really good at standing up for herself and standing up for her friends and standing up for what she believes in. But she's also really good at being nice about it while she does it. So for example, she found out that she didn't want to drink tea because it was important to her to not drink tea, because at that time tea was being taxed by England. And so they in the colonies were trying to not drink tea as a protest against England. And so she decided that when she went to her classes with Miss Manderley that she didn't want to drink tea. And so she didn't say, "No, I'm not going to drink any tea," and be super mean about it. She just turned her cup upside down and said, "Thank you, I shall take no tea." And there are ways to stand up for yourself and stand up for what you believe that's right without being mean about things, and making sure that you're kind to others. And another thing that Felicity was really good about was making sure that she was kind to people and standing up for her friends and standing up for making sure that everybody was well taken care of. So that is something that's really important as well, making sure that people are treated well and kindly. So after you've sliced up all your apples, the next thing you want to do is you're going to peel your sweet potatoes. And this is kind of fun because you get to do it with your fingers. So it's really easy to peel sweet potatoes after they've been baked, but it's really important that you make sure they're cool. So make sure that an adult tests them with their fingers before you start peeling them with your fingers. A really easy way to tell whether they're cool enough to peel is if they're still steaming, they're still too hot to touch. But make sure you let an adult try that before you do. So after you peel each sweet potato, you're just going to take that same knife you used for the apples and cut them into slices. And these can be a little bit thicker than your apple slices, but you're just going to slice all the way down that sweet potato. And these are really easy to slice because they're already cooked. And then set those into a bowl. And then you just do the same thing with all the rest of your sweet potatoes. So once you've cut up all your sweet potatoes and apples, it's time to get your dish ready to put everything into. And it's really important when you're making things to grease dishes so that everything doesn't stick inside of it. So we're going to use butter for this because when you look at the recipe book, it says you can use butter or shortening, but butter is more what Felicity would have used because butter was available during that time period. Shortening wasn't invented until closer to Molly's time period if you are following American Girl books. Once you've got your dish nice and buttered, because you can see it's kind of yellow from the butter being in there, we're going to line up our sweet potatoes and apples and we layer it up. So you're going to put a layer of sweet potatoes in the bottom and line all of those up. So if you ever get the chance to read the American Girl books that are older ones, they're super fun to read, and I strongly recommend that you try to find those. They might have them at the library, or they might be left over from your mom or your aunt, but they're very awesome to read. They have lots of fun stories about girls being brave and girls being strong, and so they're really cool. Once you get all your sweet potatoes, you want about 2.5 of those, and you are spreading them out to make sure you got an even layer on the bottom. You're going to layer up some apples on there as well. So for your apples, you're spreading those out in a thin layer, just keeping them as even as possible. And you want to use about half the apples that you have, spreading those out. So after you do the first layer of sweet potatoes and apples, you will do a second layer of sweet potatoes and apples, spreading those out evenly. And then you put some butter on top of there. And then you pour maple syrup all over top, and that tastes super yummy. So now when we eat sweet potatoes, most of the time we have cinnamon with it or sometimes ginger, but during this time spices were saved for special occasions because it was super expensive to get them. So this doesn't have any spices in it. So then we're going to cover this with a lid and we're going to bake it for about 30 minutes in the oven. Make sure you let an adult do that. So hopefully this is something that you can try with your family or with somebody that you love, and maybe you might be able to check out this cookbook from your library, or you might be able to find some old books that somebody in your family has that has some fun recipes in it. So I hope that you can watch some more of these videos and learn how to cook some old recipes from some fun books. Talk to you soon. Bye.